The 2002 D Mississippi quarter dollar, a coin so common that most people wouldn't look twice at it, is now one of the most sought-after treasures in U.S. coin history. Imagine pulling a dull, old quarter from your change jar, only to find it's worth up to $1.6 million. Sounds impossible, right? But one man's loose change turned into the find of a lifetime. That it all began with an ordinary day. A retired man from Colorado was rolling up quarters to take to the bank. He'd done it 1,000 times before. But that morning, something about one coin caught his eye. The shine was different. The strike looked slightly off. Most people would have brushed it aside. He didn't. That decision changed his life forever. When he took a closer look, he noticed what experts now call one of the most spectacular minting errors in modern U.S. history. A double strike so subtle, yet so powerful, that it sent shockwaves through the coin community. Collectors were stunned. Dealers were calling each other in disbelief. And within weeks, that simple Mississippi quarter, the one he almost cashed in for 25 cents, was valued at over $1 million. But here's where it gets even stranger. This wasn't the only one. Rumors began to spread that a small batch of 2002 D Mississippi quarters left the Denver Mint with a hidden flaw, a faint but unmistakable doubling on the obverse side, right where George Washington's profile meets the rim. Only a handful made it into circulation before the error was caught. Most were melted down, but a few slipped through the cracks and ended up in everyday pockets. Collectors began scouring their change, gas stations, and old coin jars, desperate to find one. The story spread like wildfire across forums and auction houses. A few lucky people managed to discover additional examples, and each time one surfaced, the prices soared higher. The last confirmed sale? A pristine error specimen graded MS-68, fetching $1.6 million at a private auction. But what made this particular coin so extraordinary wasn't just the error. It was the history behind the Mississippi quarter itself. Released in 2002 as part of the U.S. Mint's 50 State Quarters program, the design features the magnolia, Mississippi's state flower, surrounded by the words, "The Magnolia State." Millions were minted. They were everywhere: grocery stores, gas stations, school vending machines. Nobody suspected that among those millions hid a few rare coins worth more than most houses. And yet, that's exactly what happened. Experts say the secret lies in the combination of the minting process and an unnoticed die clash. During production at the Denver Mint, a batch of dies reportedly collided without a planchet between them, creating faint but distinct marks that transferred to a limited number of coins. When those dies were used again, they produced quarters with ghostly impressions, light doubling around the rim and date, sometimes near the word Liberty. To the untrained eye, it looks like a small blur. To a collector, it's the signature of a fortune. Within months, these coins started commanding insane prices online. Bidding wars erupted on eBay, CoinWorld forums, and private collector circles. One dealer even claimed he traded his classic Corvette just to secure one of these coins for his personal collection. People laughed until the next one sold for over $1 million. Most of these million-dollar Mississippi quarters are still out there, sitting quietly in drawers, change jars, glove compartments. The odds are slim, but not impossible. One man in Georgia found his tucked inside an old roll of quarters he'd kept since 2002, untouched for over 20 years. When he saw the faint doubling and had it verified, his jaw dropped. He'd been sitting on $1 million miracle for decades. Collectors describe it as a ghost coin. Easy to miss, impossible to forget once you've seen one. The surface has an odd shimmer, not polished, not dull, almost like it catches light differently. And if you tilt it under a lamp, you can sometimes see the light doubling around Washington's hairline or near the word, "In God We Trust." It's subtle, but that's the key. The rarer the error, the higher the value. The mystery of how many are still unaccounted for. Officially, the U.S. Mint never confirmed the exact number. Some say fewer than 10 exist. Others believe up to 50 could still be circulating undetected. No one really knows. That uncertainty drives collectors wild, because the next discovery could easily break all previous records. Think about it. You could walk into a gas station, buy a coffee, get your change, and hold a coin worth more than a Ferrari. That's the thrill of modern treasure hunting. That's why collectors keep searching. Because every time someone says, "It can't happen to me," another person finds one and proves them wrong. Now, if you're wondering how to spot one, here's what to look for. Flip over your 2002 D Mississippi quarter. Make sure it has the D mint mark, that tiny letter near Washington's ponytail. That means it was struck in Denver, the only mint known to produce the $1,000,000 error. Then, under good light, inspect the edges of the lettering on the obverse, especially around Liberty and In God We Trust. Look for slight doubling or ghost-like lines around the letters. If you spot that, don't clean the coin. Don't polish it. Handle it carefully by the edges and store it in a protective holder. Cleaning can ruin the surface and destroy the value instantly. Next, check the condition. The closer your coin is to mint state, no scratches, no wear, the higher the value. A heavily circulated one might fetch tens of thousands, but a mint state example with the right error could bring in over $1,000,000. Coin grading services like PCGS or NGC can officially certify it, and that certification can turn an interesting find into a life-changing payday. But what truly makes this story powerful isn't just the money. It's the reminder that incredible opportunities still exist, even in the most ordinary places. You don't need a metal detector, a museum, or an inheritance. Sometimes, all it takes is curiosity and a little attention to detail. Collectors often say, every coin tells a story. And the 2002 D Mississippi quarter tells one of the greatest. A story of chance, of discovery, of an everyday man who noticed what millions of others missed and walked away with a fortune. But when one collector took a closer look, he realized he was holding a 1994 D Washington quarter worth a staggering $1.7 million. What started as a simple trip to a gas station turned into one of the most jaw-dropping discoveries in coin history. It's hard to believe that something as ordinary as a 1994 D quarter, a coin most people have jingling around in their pockets right now, could be worth more than most houses. But behind this small silver coin lies a mystery that shocked even the most experienced collectors. One man from Denver discovered his life-changing quarter purely by accident. He'd been saving his change in a jar for years, not for collecting, just habit. When the jar got too full, he started sorting through it, checking the dates, mint marks, and maybe, just maybe, looking for something special. And there it was, the 1994 D. At first glance, it looked normal. But under the right light, he noticed something strange. The details didn't line up quite like they should. What he found next would stun the entire coin world. Experts later confirmed that his 1994 D quarter wasn't just rare, it was a minting error that had gone unnoticed for decades. A double strike on the obverse side, a slightly off-center rim, and a mirrored surface that looked more proof-like than business strike. It was one of those once-in-a-lifetime mint mistakes that somehow slipped through quality control at the Denver Mint. Collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to confirm whether this was real. And when the coin finally hit the auction floor, the bids went wild. Within minutes, the value shot from a few thousand to hundreds of thousands, and then over the $1,000,000 mark. The final sale price? A jaw-dropping $1.7 million. Here's where the mystery deepens. The 1994 D Washington quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, part of a massive production run. But during that year, minting equipment was pushed to its limits, and a small batch of coins came out with misaligned dies, doubling on key features like Washington's eye, the words Liberty, and the year 1994. Most of these were caught and destroyed, but a few escaped into circulation, and that's where it gets unbelievable. Those few coins that survived are now some of the most valuable quarters in existence. They look nearly identical to an ordinary quarter, but the devil is in the details. The rarest ones have a sharp D mint mark placed slightly higher than usual and faint doubling around the letters of In God We Trust. Under magnification, you'll also see a subtle distortion along the edge, a sign of the die being misaligned during striking. It's this imperfection that turned a 25-cent coin into a $1,000,000 treasure. One collector described holding one as like finding a diamond in a sandbox. Because no one expects to find a fortune in pocket change. Yet it keeps happening. But here's where the story takes a wild turn. After that record-breaking sale, word spread fast through online coin forums and collector circles. Suddenly, everyone started checking their quarters from 1994. Pawn shops were overwhelmed. Coin roll hunters scoured banks. Even gas station clerks began saving quarters before giving change, hoping lightning would strike twice. And then it did. Just months later, another collector in Texas found a second 1994 D with similar features, but with an even clearer double strike. The coin community went silent. Everyone thought there could only be one. But this second find confirmed it. A tiny number of these coins had slipped into circulation. Experts now estimate fewer than 10 might exist, that's right. Out of hundreds of millions struck, fewer than 10 of these quarters may be out there. That's rarer than most gold coins or early silver dollars. And if you happen to find one in mint condition, it could easily fetch over $1 million at auction. Imagine that. A simple 25-cent piece that could pay off your mortgage, your car, and your kids' college, and still leave you with enough for a luxury vacation. Start by checking your 1994 quarters. Look closely at the mint mark. It should be a D for Denver. Then, with a magnifying glass or your phone camera zoomed in, examine Washington's face and the word Liberty. The rare versions show a faint doubling effect, like a shadow behind the letters or features. Also, check the edge of the coin. The error versions often show a slightly uneven rim, where the metal didn't press evenly during the strike. If your coin has those traits, and it's in great condition, don't spend it. Get it verified by a trusted grading company like PCGS or NGC. One verified coin changed a man's entire life, and yours could be next, but there's more. Some collectors believe a few of these rare quarters were struck on experimental planchets, blank coins made of slightly different metal composition, giving them a unique shine and weight. That's why some examples appear almost proof-like, even though they weren't made for collector sets. Those are the ones dealers are quietly chasing right now, because every time one surfaces, the value jumps higher. And with the coin market surging in recent years, a verified 1994 D Washington quarter with these rare traits could easily surpass that $1.7 million mark the next time it goes to auction. The next time you empty your pockets, pay attention to those dates. That ordinary quarter might not be so ordinary after all. Collectors are calling it the modern gold rush in pocket change. Everyday Americans are uncovering treasures that were never meant to be found. It's proof that history still hides in plain sight. You just have to look closely enough to see it. And remember, the man who first discovered his 1994 D didn't think he was holding anything special. He almost used it to buy a coffee. But that one small decision to look closer turned spare change into $1 million miracle. But one man noticed something odd, a faint shimmer in the light, a small imperfection only a trained eye could spot. That 1971 D Washington quarter later sold for nearly $1.8 million. Back in 1971, the Denver Mint was producing millions of Washington quarters, each worth just 25 cents. Nobody imagined that among those countless coins, a few rare pieces would slip through the presses carrying a secret that would take decades to uncover. The kind of secret that transforms ordinary pocket change into a life-changing discovery. It all started with a small but crucial mistake. A minting error so rare that even experienced collectors ignored it for years. These quarters looked normal at first glance, but hidden within their details lay a clue that set them apart. A mysterious misstrike combined with a faint doubling of the date and lettering that only appears under certain lighting. That a collector from Colorado, sorting through a jar of old change one night, spotted something strange about his 1971 D quarter. The color seemed off. The weight didn't feel quite right. He pulled out his magnifying glass, expecting nothing. But what he saw made his heart skip a beat. The mint mark looked slightly misplaced, almost like it was floating. And the word Liberty appeared doubled, faintly, but clearly enough to stand out that he sent it for grading, just to be sure. Weeks later, the call came in. His everyday quarter was verified as one of the rarest minting errors ever discovered. Its estimated auction value? Over $1.8 million. Collectors were stunned. Dealers rushed to check their inventories. Everyone started searching for the 1971 D Washington quarter with that specific doubling and off-centered mint mark. Suddenly, what had been dismissed as a common coin became one of the most talked-about treasures in American numismatic history. Experts believe that during a brief period in 1971, one Denver Mint press malfunctioned, producing a limited batch of quarters struck on the wrong planchet or slightly misaligned. The result? A hybrid coin with a distinct metallic tone, off-center design, and microscopic doubling around the date and lettering. Combine that with near-perfect preservation, and you've got the formula for $1 million miracle. And here's the wild part. Most of these coins are still out there. They slipped unnoticed into circulation decades ago, hiding in coin jars, glove compartments, and old coffee cans. Imagine that. A coin you've seen 1,000 times might actually be the key to your financial freedom. But that's not the only twist. When news broke of the first 1971 D quarter selling for over $1 million, the story spread like wildfire. TV stations picked it up, collectors' forums exploded, and one man even claimed he found another example at a flea market for just 25 cents. Whether his coin was authentic or not, nobody knows for sure, but it reignited the gold rush for quarters. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. Many people began cleaning their old coins, hoping to reveal hidden details. But here's the truth. Cleaning a coin can instantly destroy its collector value. That faint shine might look nice, but it erases the natural patina experts look for. One scratch, one swipe, and you've wiped away hundreds of thousands of dollars in potential value. So if you think you've got one of these rare 1971 D quarters, don't clean it. Don't polish it. Don't even rub it on your sleeve. Handle it by the edges, store it safely, and get it evaluated by a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC. Those certification letters can mean the difference between a few dollars and a life-changing payday. In 2019, a second 1971 D quarter with similar characteristics surfaced at auction. It featured the same faint doubling and off-centered mint mark, but with a slightly different die alignment. Bidding opened modestly, but as word spread, the price climbed higher and higher. When the final hammer dropped, it shattered records, confirming once and for all that the legend of the $1 million 1971 D quarter was real. For many collectors, that moment changed everything. People started re-examining every coin they owned, hoping lightning would strike twice. But only a handful of these treasures exist, and they're nearly impossible to spot unless you know exactly what to look for. Start by checking the mint mark. On the Denver version, the D should be bold and well-struck. But on the rare variety, it may appear slightly off-center or even doubled. Next, inspect the date, 1971. Look closely for any doubling around the 1 or 9. Finally, observe the overall strike. The valuable coins often show sharper relief, especially around Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers on the reverse. And here's one more clue. The coin's color might seem a little different, a slightly silvery or duller tone than typical quarters from that year. That's because some of these rare pieces were struck on leftover 40% silver planchets that should have been retired years earlier. That simple metal mix-up is part of what makes them so valuable. Collectors who have seen these coins in person describe them as haunting. One dealer said, "It's like holding a secret the world forgot about, a mistake that turned into a masterpiece." But what makes this story so powerful isn't just the value. It's the reminder that history hides in plain sight. That something as ordinary as a 25-cent coin could hold a story worth millions. And that the only thing separating most people from a fortune is paying attention. Imagine emptying your coin jar tonight, sorting through your quarters, and suddenly realizing that one of them looks just a bit off. Maybe it's the color, maybe the mint mark. You take a closer look, and your hands start to shake the next time you get change at the grocery store or find a dusty roll of quarters in the back of your drawer. Take a closer look. Flip it over. Study the mint mark. Because history isn't just written in books. It's stamped into metal, waiting to be rediscovered. Most people have handled this coin without ever realizing what they were holding. I'm talking about the 2014 P Mint Mark Everglades quarter, a piece of modern pocket change that turned into one of the most shocking treasure stories in American coin history. Imagine this. A man in Florida, cleaning out his truck one weekend, finds a handful of old coins stuck between the seats. He's about to toss them into a coin jar when one quarter catches his eye. It looks different. The color, the edge, even the shine. Out of curiosity, he takes it to a local dealer, and within hours, word spreads through the collecting community like wildfire. What he found wasn't just any quarter. It was a 2014 P Everglades quarter, one of the few known error strikes that would later fetch nearly $2 million at auction. That's where this story takes a twist most people never see coming. You see, The 2014 Everglades Quarter was part of the America the Beautiful series, celebrating national parks and landmarks. The Everglades design showed two elegant birds, a great blue heron and a roseate spoonbill, standing in shallow marsh waters. But during a limited run at the Philadelphia Mint, something went terribly wrong with the dies. A faint, almost ghost-like double strike appeared on some coins, creating a rare mirrored image that collectors now call the Phantom Everglades. At first, no one noticed. These coins slipped into circulation like any other. Grocery store cash registers, vending machines, even laundromats, ordinary places where million-dollar coins quietly passed from hand to hand. But then, one collector spotted a strange shimmer under the heron's beak, a doubling effect that shouldn't exist. And that discovery changed everything. Collectors were stunned. Experts rushed to verify it. The mint error was confirmed, but its rarity was beyond belief. Only a handful of examples have ever surfaced, and each one tells a slightly different story. A tiny shift here, a faint misalignment there, proof that these coins were never meant to leave the mint in the first place. When one of these Everglades quarters hit the auction block, the bidding war was fierce. Dealers from New York, California, and even overseas fought tooth and nail to own this piece of modern minting mystery. By the time the hammer fell, the final price had soared past $1.9 million. The buyer? A private collector who called it a masterpiece born of imperfection. That's the magic of coins like this. The idea that a small mistake, something as simple as a die shift or a metal flaw, can turn an everyday quarter into a million-dollar miracle. But here's where it gets even crazier. Some experts believe there are still undiscovered Everglades errors out there, sitting quietly in coin jars, dresser drawers, or coffee cans. Every time someone dumps quarters into a Coinstar machine, they could be passing up a life-changing fortune. One detail separates the ordinary from the extraordinary, and most people miss it. On the valuable 2014 P. Everglades quarter, look closely at the heron's neck and the reeds near its feet. You might see faint doubling or a shadow-like image, as if the design was struck twice. That's your clue. The mint mark, P, will appear crisp, but the texture around it will seem slightly raised or distorted, another sign of the error. Under magnification, the rim of the coin shows a thin line that looks almost melted, a telltale mark of a misaligned die strike. If you see that, don't spend it. Get it authenticated immediately, because one tiny detail like that could mean the difference between 25 cents and nearly $2 million. Think about that. A coin minted just a decade ago, something you might get as change for a cup of coffee, could make you a millionaire overnight. That's not just luck. That's destiny hidden in metal. One collector said it best after discovering his own Everglades error. It's not about finding a coin. It's about realizing that something ordinary can still surprise you. And that's what makes this hobby so powerful. You're not just collecting coins. You're collecting history, mystery, and a chance at a dream that's still alive today. Dealers are still searching, collectors are still whispering, and treasure hunters are still checking every quarter they get. Because the next million-dollar Everglades coin hasn't been found yet. Or maybe it's sitting in someone's glove box right now. So the next time you get change at the store, take a second look. Hold that 2014 P. Everglades quarter up to the light. Study the details, check for doubling, and pay attention to the edges. You never know, the one you're holding could be the next record breaker. It was just another ordinary quarter to most people, a shiny little 2006 coin from the South Dakota State series. The kind you'd toss into a parking meter or drop into a soda machine without a second thought. But one collector spotted something so strange, so subtle, that it changed his life forever. The 2006 P. Mint mark South Dakota quarter dollar was supposed to be simple, a tribute to Mount Rushmore, the American bison, and the vast Dakota plains. But behind that design lies one of the most mysterious and valuable minting errors in modern coin history that IT started when a Philadelphia mint worker noticed something unusual. During one production run, the dies, the metal stamps used to strike the coin, had developed a microscopic misalignment. To most eyes, the coins looked fine. But under the right light, the details told a different story. Collectors call it the double Rushmore, a rare die error where the outlines of the famous faces appear slightly shadowed, almost like a ghostly second image. Some even show a faint doubling in the word South, while others have a bison with an oddly shaped horn. It's the kind of imperfection that would normally go unnoticed, but when word got out, everything changed. One man from Illinois found his 2006 South Dakota quarter in loose change from a car wash. He almost spent it, but the strange shine caught his attention. After magnifying the coin under a lamp, he saw it. The doubling, the faint misprint, the mint mark slightly off-center. He sent it for grading, and the results stunned him. PCGS confirmed it. A genuine mint error, one of only a handful ever documented. When it went to auction, bidding started low, but it didn't stay that way for long. Dealers fought for it. Collectors whispered about it. And when the hammer finally dropped, that little quarter had sold for just under $1 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. After that sale, treasure hunters across America began searching their jars, glove boxes, and couch cushions for any 2006 South Dakota quarters they could find. Some claimed to find mild doubling. Others spotted die cracks near the bison's legs. And while not all of them were worth a fortune, a few more examples surfaced, each fetching tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands, depending on condition and clarity of the error. One collector even said, "This coin made me believe in luck again." The fascination comes down to one key detail most people miss: the mint mark. The P on these rare coins is slightly misplaced, pressed deeper into the surface than usual. That tiny difference separates the ordinary from the extraordinary, and it's why experts always say, check your coins under light from every angle. Collectors were shocked when professional graders revealed that even uncirculated examples without major doubling could reach sky-high values. The right combination of sharp strike, clear mint mark, and that elusive die flaw has turned this 2006 quarter into a $1 million legend. And yet, here's the truly wild part. Many of these coins are still out there. They were released into circulation like any other quarter. That means yours, sitting in a change jar or hidden in an old dresser, could be one of them. Imagine holding a coin that millions of people have ignored, only to realize it's worth enough to change your life forever. That's the dream that keeps collectors searching. That's what makes stories like this so powerful, because sometimes it's not the oldest coin that holds the most value. It's the one that hides its secret the best. How do you identify the rare 2006 South Dakota quarter that could make you rich? Start by flipping it over. Look closely at the bison, specifically its head and horn. Any signs of doubling or distortions near the outline of the animal can be a sign of a rare die error. Next, move your attention to Mount Rushmore. Under strong light, check the faces of the presidents. If you see a faint second image or shadowed lines, don't ignore it. That's one of the key error patterns linked to high-value examples. Then, focus on the P mint mark itself. On the valuable coins, it often sits slightly off-center or appears pressed deeper than usual. You might even notice a faint crack or raised line extending from the mint mark toward the edge of the coin, another indicator of a misaligned die strike. Condition matters too. Even if you spot an error, scratches, or heavy wear can affect the price. But a clean, well-preserved 2006 South Dakota quarter with a visible error can be worth anywhere from several $1,000s to, yes, up to $1 million if it's one of the known high-grade examples verified by PCGS or NGC. Don't dismiss that change in your pocket. Don't assume every quarter is just 25 cents. Because one of them might hold the kind of value that turns ordinary people into legends overnight. Because that ordinary-looking 1979 D. Washington quarter he almost lost turned out to be worth over $1.1 million. Collectors say stories like this sound impossible until they happen. And this one, believe it or not, changed the way people look at loose change forever. Back in 1979, the Denver Mint was running at full speed. Over 489 million quarters were struck that year, all bearing that little D mint mark under Washington's neck. To most people, they were just everyday coins. But hidden in that sea of metal, a few came out different. Unintentionally, the mint created one of the most valuable errors in U.S. coin history. It started with a misalignment deep inside the minting presses. A single die, the piece that stamps the coin's design, had been improperly set. That mistake caused subtle doubling on George Washington's face and a weak strike on the eagle's wings. Almost no one noticed at first. But that error gave birth to what collectors now call the $1,000,000 1979 D quarter. The man who discovered it wasn't even a collector. He was just someone who paid attention. He'd been sorting change one night, looking for silver coins, when he noticed something off. Washington's profile looked thicker, the D mint mark was slightly higher than usual, and the edges shimmered differently under light. Out of curiosity, he took it to a local coin shop. The dealer nearly dropped his magnifier. "This isn't just a quarter," he whispered. "It's a minting ghost." Word spread fast. Within days, major grading companies were calling, experts were analyzing, and collectors were offering shocking sums. When that coin hit auction, it didn't just sell, it exploded in value. The final hammer price? Just over $1.1 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world that as soon as the story broke, treasure hunters across the U.S. started tearing through old jars, glove compartments, and coffee cans filled with loose change. Everyone wanted to find another one. For months, eBay listings tripled, coin forums went wild, and local dealers couldn't keep 1979 D quarters in stock. Yet only a handful of coins with those exact traits have ever been verified. Experts believe fewer than 10 may exist, and some might still be hiding in plain sight. What makes them so valuable isn't just rarity. It's the combination of details most people overlook. Look closely at your 1979 D quarter under good light. You'll want to check for faint doubling on Washington's eye and lips, a thicker than normal D mint mark, and slightly raised edges that look almost hand-carved. Flip it over. The eagle's right wing should appear weaker, almost faded, compared to the left. That's the sign of an uneven die strike, the same feature seen on the $1,000,000 specimen. Collectors were shocked when they realized the mint had never officially acknowledged the error. No announcement, no documentation, just silence. That mystery added to the coin's legendary status. Because every time someone finds a 1979 D with those strange characteristics, the question echoes again. Is this another $1,000,000 miracle waiting to be discovered? Dealers are now rushing to get their hands on any high-grade 1979 D quarters. Even standard ones in mint condition can fetch hundreds, sometimes thousands. But those with confirmed die errors? They're priceless. There's another twist to this story, one that makes it even more unbelievable. The man who found that first $1,000,000 quarter almost sold it for $20. He thought it was just a novelty coin, but something in his gut told him to hold on to it. 2 years later, when grading technology improved, he sent it to PCGS for authentication. They confirmed it was a double die strike with a rare surface anomaly, a pattern that could only have formed in that short, flawed production run at the Denver Mint. That one decision changed his life. Imagine that. A single quarter turning into a fortune. A coin you could have spent on a candy bar now worth more than a luxury home. That's why collectors call this the $1,000,000 miracle quarter. And the story doesn't end there. Over the past decade, a few mysterious reports have surfaced, people claiming to have found similar coins in estate collections, old banks, even laundromats. One woman in California said her father had saved a roll of 1979 D quarters since his army days. When she opened it years later, one coin looked off, thicker, heavier, and slightly golden in tone. Experts now believe that coin, too, could be worth 6 figures, maybe more. But here's the most fascinating part. These coins don't announce themselves. They don't sparkle or shine differently. They blend in with every other quarter in your change. The difference is microscopic, and yet, it's the reason some are worth millions. Collectors compare it to striking gold in your own kitchen drawer. Because once you know what to look for, you start seeing possibilities everywhere. Still, many people make one big mistake. They clean their coins. Never do that. Cleaning a coin, even gently, can destroy its surface and erase value instantly. One wrong swipe can turn a potential $1,000,000 find into pocket change. Instead, keep your rare-looking quarters untouched, store them safely, and have them evaluated by professionals like PCGS or NGC. If you're serious about checking, use a 10x magnifier and good lighting. Look for doubling on the date, especially the 9s, a sharp D mint mark slightly north of center, and light distortion on the rim near Liberty. You might think all the valuable ones are already found, but that's exactly what people said before the first 1979 D sold for over $1,000,000. Coins like this remind us of something powerful. value hides in plain sight. In the forgotten, the ordinary, the overlooked, collectors still whisper about one rumored roll of quarters supposedly taken home by a Denver Mint employee in late 1979. Some believe those rolls contain more of these legendary coins, waiting to surface one day and shake the coin world all over again. So, if you ever find a 1979 D quarter with slightly off lettering, a ghostly double image on Washington's face, or a faded eagle, don't spend it. Hold it like you're holding history.